Hello everyone, my name is David Magar and I'm a product manager on the Power BI team. My main focus is the platform that runs Power BI Premium features, and today I'm excited to share our plans for evolving Premium further so that more of you can enjoy Power BI Premium's features and leverage the best-in-class analytics capabilities in your work. So let's begin. Power BI Premium was introduced 3 years ago and brought to the Power BI universe new abilities like free distribution to free licensed users when licensing by capacity, larger scale and better performance for your analytics workload by letting you hold larger volumes of data in your imported datasets and refreshing these datasets more frequently. And it also provided the ability to unify self-service and enterprise BI capabilities under a single offering with a single solution platform that serves the needs of both IT and the business. Over the past 3 years, we released many new abilities that bridge the gap between traditional centralized enterprise BI and the self-service paradigm. Things like paginated reports in the cloud, data flows, deployment pipelines, and more. And of course, Power BI Premium also gave you the ability to extend your Power BI investments to the on-premise world with a built-in license for Power BI Report Server to use. Today, we are happy to expose a brand new set of capabilities that Premium is going to offer. In a few weeks, on top of everything it already provides, Power BI Premium will add the following abilities. First, we will add the ability to offer licensing for premium features by users and not only by capacity. This will unlock access to premium features to many organizations that could not justify the investment of licensing a full premium capacity. Now, these organizations will be able to benefit from access to these premium features like greater scale, paginated reports, AI capabilities, and more while licensing those on a per-user basis. Second, our premium platform is going to be much faster with up to 16x performance boost for any Power BI operation. Third, for our capacity-based licensed users, we will introduce the ability to automatically add capacity when needed. 3 years of running premium capacities taught us it takes time for customers to secure funding for upgraded capacities. During this time, many end users may suffer the consequences of an overloaded capacity. With this ability, we introduce a zero-effort solution to this very common problem. Last, and also for our capacity licensed users, after acknowledging the complexity of understanding how much capacity is used and by who, we are now measuring capacity utilization using a new single type of metric that makes it easy to understand how much capacity are you using, how is the capacity usage divided across workspaces and artifacts, and how the cost of running capacity can be shared across multiple users. Now let's dive deeper and understand how each of those will work and benefit your Power BI experience with more detail. First, the flexibility to license by user. Premium feature access will be extended to a set of people with a dedicated license. This means content will not be accessible to users without this new premium license. However, this also means that there is no capacity to manage and there's no need to administer anything. Everything just works. And the final outcome is that users have access to everything they know from Power BI, plus premium features like larger datasets, more frequent refreshes, access to paginated reports, premium data flows features, premium AI capabilities like text analytics and image detection, and more. And everything just run as soon as you have this license. Let's talk about how the platform is evolving into such a faster platform. To explain that, let's consider a query that runs on the service. With fewer vehicles available to process that query, it takes some time for that query to finish. However, if we make sure more vehicles are available to process the same query, the time it takes for that query to complete is much shorter, and the query seems to perform much better. So the conclusion is that the more calls give you a performance boost. And this is exactly the principle behind the evolution of the Premium platform. In the first generation of Premium, customers bought a set of limited cores, and only these cores were made available to process any and all Power BI operations. As a result, administrators had to make sure these cores do not get oversubscribed, always have enough memory available, etc., so that performance is as optimal as possible. In the new platform, we are leveraging a pool of vCores that Microsoft manages and allocate as many vCores as possible for each operation while measuring the throughput of those vCores when they process the content from each of our customers to make sure no one is utilizing the system more than they should. The result is that customers do not need to worry about resources made available for vCores like memory, and only need to worry about how much work do these vCores need to perform to accomplish their analytics need. With so many vCores available, analytics operations are always done at the same blazing fast speeds, even when the capacity is almost at its full capacity. Now, let's discuss how we will measure how much capacity you will be using and the benefits that come from that measurement. We are introducing a simple metric to determine the utilization of a premium capacity. This metric will make it easy to have a consistent evaluation of load and to perform cost management on your premium capacities. To derive this metric, we divide time to a small sub-minute loading evaluation interval and look at the amount of CPU time that was required to perform your analytics operations during each interval. Let's assume a query comes in and takes some amount of CPU time to complete. The time it took to complete is represented by the height of this blue square. Within the same load evaluation interval, another query comes, and we add the CPU time required for this query to complete to the blue square. And then another query comes along, and the total utilization is now at the height of the green square. The total utilization time can be compared to what I should be able to extract from the level of the capacity I bought. For example, assuming the evaluation interval is 1 minute and that I purchased 8 vCores for my capacity, 100% of them would give me the ability to use 8 times 60, which is 480 seconds of CPU time in an interval. So that would represent my 100% bar. And now I can say that within a load evaluation interval, my usage level is defined by the height of this orange bar right here. Notice that we do not measure the total amount of memory required to accomplish all of these operations within the interval, and only the time it takes for the vCores to complete the work. Now that we defined this utilization well, we can introduce a simple experience out of the box that will show how this utilization is broken down. And this experience is called the utilization report, which will ship out of the box for every premium capacity with the new generation. As you can see, this out-of-the-box report shows the administrators how each day, how much utilization was recorded at peak, and how the total utilization was broken down by the different analytics artifacts in the Power BI capacity. An artifact could be a data set, a data flow, a paginated report, and so on. And the values of utilization are expressed in CPU time, which is seconds or minutes, and they can be easily understood. This report will show utilization data spanning 28 days ago and more out of the box, and with it you will be able to use utilization data to recognize how much utilization was encouraged by each artifact separately, to do things like sharing the cost and perform chargebacks inside your organizations based on actual usage and not by any other metrics. Identify cost drivers that drain your capacity, trends, and ETAs to running out of capacity and plan ahead with budget requests, etc. And improve your monitoring by setting custom alerts that email admins when certain utilization level, for example, over 80%, are crossed so that the admins can initiate cost-saving actions or budget requests. If you look closely on the report screenshot, you will notice utilization is broken into two types: background and interactive, with interactive is the dark blue and background in the light blue. And this brings us to one of the greatest improvements we are introducing with the new generation of Premium as well. With the new Premium platforms, refreshes and other background operations can be used to a much greater extent and with fewer restrictions. By background operations, we mean automated report screenshots over email, data flow refreshes, and others. So today, refresh concurrency is limited by the size of your capacity. An 8-core capacity can only run 6 concurrent refreshes, 16 cores can run 12, etc. With the evolution of Premium, this limitation goes away completely and there are no concurrency limitations. Second, there are no cumulative memory limitations as well. If before 6 refreshes running together on a P1 could not use more than 25 gigabytes of memory combined, with the Evolve Premium platform, the only limitation is that each refresh is limited to 25 gigabytes of memory for its own use. You can run 6 refreshes, each requiring 24 gigabytes on a single P1 capacity with no problems. How we measure the utilization of refreshes will be measured differently than the usual query utilization. We will take each refresh and run it at the top blazing fast speed possible on our vCores. After we learn its total CPU time cost, we will spread that cost over 24 hours across your capacity. So eventually, each evaluation interval gets added with a minor background contribution that takes into account all the refreshes that ran in the past 24 hours. So refreshes still affects your utilization, but it impacts it a lot less. And it's changing with a slow rate because we spread the cost over such a large time span. So as you can see, refreshes do not impact report interactivity at all. And as a result, there is a dramatically reduced overhead for management because administrators do not need to worry about the spread of refreshes over the week, and all the refreshes just run when they are required to. Now let's talk about the ability to add capacity when needed. This ability is here to ensure that your analytics is always running at the best possible speed and doesn't slow down due to overuse. It will dynamically autoscale a single vCore increment to address capacity overage as they occur. The autoscaling is done one vCore at a time, and each vCore gets added for 24 hours and then removed. To unlock this ability, you will need to supply an active Azure subscription through which the costs for the added vCores will be charged, and only the costs for the added vCores. Once unlocked, you can set boundaries and limits for this ability in form of either scale or in form of total cost that will prevent your autoscaling to spend more than X amount of dollars. Now let's see an illustration of how this thing works and what is the benefit of having it. So taking the example that we did before with the queries incoming, let's assume that now I had so many queries that I crossed the 100% capacity threshold. Now, without autoscale, in the load evaluation time interval that is after an overload, the queries will take longer to complete. The reason they take longer to complete is the overload, and of course, we will notify admins that this thing has happened. With autoscale, if I take the exact same situation and I overload it, the capacity will raise its threshold by the equivalent of a single vCore, and then the performance level of the same queries coming in a consecutive time interval will be just as it was before, and everything will be running at the full speed all the time. Now, this raise of the threshold is done for 24 hours, and after that, it's going back to its original state, and the incremental vCore added here is built through an Azure account. So how does this autoscaling help us? Autoscale gives us the advantage, the optional ability of a safety net that guarantees performance despite overload. It transfers the impact of unplanned overuse from user pain to IT costs. And it essentially allows administrators to have a set and forget operation for their capacity, which means quite simply hands off until something happens. What are the use cases where this is applicable? And be mindful that not everybody will find these use cases relevant, but some industries are more similar than others. quarterly or seasonal surge in demand. If you are a retail business and you're experiencing the holiday season, you will usually using more analytics during the season than you are in your regular year. And autoscaling will support you by increasing your capacity size for that time period. Also, if you have periodic spikes, for example, on Mondays, because there are plenty of analytics workloads that occur after the weekend, or there's many reports being viewed at the same time after the weekend, then Autoscale is a great way to account for this spike and to make sure that nobody has reduced performance. And last, if you're using a self-service paradigm for your Power BI solution and some report is extremely successful, way beyond what you expected, you will find that adoption grows viral and there are many more users than what you thought. And then Autoscale will have you covered until you choose to actually increase the size of your capacity. So to sum up, the main concepts of the Power BI evolution is the introduction of a license by user, an improved performance of up to 16x that includes both refreshes and any other Power BI operations, the ability to automatically add capacity when required, and the ability to understand everything using a single and simple consistent metric that is measuring CPU utilization across all your operations. Now, what's our call to action? We do have a private preview program for existing users of premium capacities, which we invite you to request access to via this link or by contacting your Microsoft account team. Please stay tuned for a public preview announcement, which will be made soon. Thank you and enjoy Ignite.